G'day guys, Sim here, and welcome to another League Racing video. I know it's been a little while, I've been a bit busy with other videos and getting ready to move house and stuff, but yeah, we're back. Now this is round 7 of AFR at Monaco. I haven't bothered with a video for Spain, basically because nothing really happened. I finished 3rd place, caught up in the championship on Stars, because Stars unfortunately couldn't attend, but yeah. Really nothing worth putting into a video, but yeah. First lap done, it wasn't great, it was a 109.6. We improved on that by a tenth and a bit for a 109.5. And then onto our final lap here, getting a decent enough exit out of the final corner to get a nice good start on the lap. Getting a decent entry into turn 1, maybe could have made a bit more of it there, carried some more speed through, but coming out up on our previous best so far. Coming into Casino now, trying to keep it tight to the apex on both of these corners. Not getting the best possible run here, but still pretty much matching our previous best and going green to the first sector. Coming into the hairpin now, once again trying to keep it nice and tight, rotate the car as quickly as possible through there. Gaining a little bit of time, but losing some time here leading into the tunnel. And ending up with a pretty poor exit here, to be honest, and still only just improving at the moment on our previous best, and actually down as we come into the Nouvelle chicane. But here we are really good under braking. We really cut off as much of that curb as possible, and we're up by a tenth and a half, nearly 2 tenths here now. Not getting the greatest run through here to end the middle sector, and pretty much as we go through the swimming pool, we're only just bettering our previous best again. Purple middle sector though, and coming through the final 2 corners, getting much better traction here compared to our previous lap. And as we come up to the line, we somehow managed to pull out 3 tenths almost on our previous best to set provisional pole of a 109.2. But it wasn't quite good enough, as we see now watching the end of Feber's lap. Already well up on his previous best at the middle sector and just hawking up the last sector far better than we did. And coming through now to take pole position with a 109.0, so a really good lap by Feber. Just definitely outdrove me there, and I definitely could have done a lot more to hook up a better lap. But yeah, starting in 2nd position, and crucially, Stars, our championship rival, starting down in 9th position. But yeah, now getting ready for the start of the race now, and my plan really was just to maximise points for the weekend. I didn't want to do anything particularly risky. I wasn't going to go for any moves desperately to try and win the race or anything. I just wanted to consolidate points and just maximise points in the championship. So now getting ready for the start of the race, just trying to keep calm, focus on the start. And as the lights get ready to go out now, just keeping it nice down at around 10,500 revs, and away we go. Not getting a great start, Feber clearly getting a much better start, and Smitty actually almost getting down our inside turn 1. We leave him the space around the outside and manage to just hold him off there and head off. But now you'll see Stars is already up to P5, and this is his start here, so he got absolutely insane traction off the start. Already passed multiple cars before turn 1 and just diving it up the inside. Cutting maybe the inside of turn 1 a little bit too much and a little bit of contact there, but managing to get up to P5, so an insane start by Stars. But yeah, now we're just trying to consolidate our position here, just close in on Feber a bit, because he is already is outside of that 1 second gap. Not that DRS is particularly important around here, but I didn't want to let him just sort of drive away with it. I wanted to, you know, keep him under pressure in case he made a mistake at any point, and just sort of relax and settle into this race as much as possible. You'll see behind we've already got almost a 1 second gap over Smithy, and we're just, the two of us are just trying to, we don't want to battle each other, we just want to try and pull away as much as we possibly can in these first few laps, try and get ourselves some clean air, ready for pit stops and things, so just trying to maximise our speed and just, you know, keep it calm. And you'll see, heading into the final sector now, we already almost have a 2 second lead over Smitty. I believe he might have clipped a wall or something, gotten himself a tiny bit of damage. It's a bit unfortunate, and yeah, as you see, him pulling into the pits there now. But now, skipping on to the end of lap 4 now, you'll see we've pulled away. Stars has actually moved up to position 3. But we've pulled out now a 4.5 second gap, so Feber and I really at the moment are having quite a bit of control over this race. Both of us sort of, you know, just fairly relaxed. You'll see I'm quite low on fuel there, down negative 3/4 of a lap of fuel. But for the most part, I've just been, at this point, I've just been running it in lean, you know, trying to conserve the tyres as much as possible, get as good traction as I possibly can out of the corners, and, you know, just sort of follow Faber around. Once again, not really trying to attack him here, just sort of trying to keep it nice and calm and just keep opening that gap to the cars behind. Obviously, if we'd started battling, that gap could have closed up really quickly, so, you know, just trying to keep it nice and calm. Obviously not let Faber get away from me, because I thought there was still a possibility to get a win if he did make a mistake or let us get particularly close, or in the dying stages of the race we could maybe pressure him a bit more and maybe go for a move in the dying stages. But yeah, as you'll see now on the end of this lap, you might see, oh no, sorry, skipping ahead to lap 7, you'll see behind, Stars actually pits, so I believe he got damage at some point, so now that's left us plenty of space back to our teammate Trin of like 7.5 seconds, so at this point, really this race is well and truly under control. We're sort of very, very calm, we're chilling about a second behind Faber. I did at this point have a tiny bit of damage, I think, to my right end plate. I think I just clipped the wall, but skipping on to lap 9 now. I was planning on pitting lap 10 or lap 11 onto the mediums for the end, but you'll see, we get a wash of understeer here, and unfortunately, just clipping my wing there, and that then forced me to make the decision to pit this lap, which, you know, wasn't exactly to plan, but it wasn't a massive disaster. We're only, at this point, well, 2 seconds behind Faber. Obviously with the damage that extends a little bit over the rest of this lap. But I wasn't really panicking. I just knew that I had to make sure I pitted to come out in front of any traffic. Obviously if I didn't pit, the potential for an undercut for a couple of drivers was definitely there, especially with replacing the wing. But yeah, coming into the pits now, fairly relaxed, complaining a bit because I was getting some frame drops during the race for some reason. I was only recording, I wasn't actually streaming this race. But as we replace our wing, you'll see, looking at the timing table there, as we get overtaken by a few drivers now, you'll see Stars actually now appears on the timing table, and as we exit the pit lane now, he goes past us and actually manages to come out in front of us as we exit the pit lane. So this really isn't good. We've had quite a bit of pace over Stars, and with him now being on the harder compound of tyres, you'll see he is really holding us up here. So I was definitely thinking, you know, I had to get past as soon as possible, because otherwise, you know, there's the potential for an overcut now from a couple of the cars in front that are yet to pit. So as you can see, I'm just really pressuring him through this middle sector now, trying to see any way past, and we get a brilliant exit here coming into the tunnel now, right behind him, using overtake and rich fuel mix, looking for the inside in the Novel chicane, braking nice and late, and I thought I had the move done, but he just turns in on me a little bit, and listening in, I wasn't particularly impressed with that, but after the race the stewards did deem it a racing incident, and looking at it there now, you can see it was a bit of both. I potentially wasn't quite far enough up the inside to get the move done, and yeah, you know, just didn't get the move done. But now coming on to the next lap, still really pressuring Stars here, looking for the gap through Casino here, looking for the inside but can't find it, so going for the outside of the hairpin, not able to get that done, and Trin gets us up the inside there really easily there, which was a little bit annoying. You'll hear I'm really not impressed at the moment. Like, obviously everything that was happening there was completely acceptable in racing, but you know, at the time, needing to get the move done and then losing a position out of it, it was rather frustrating. But you'll see here now, Trin goes for the move, same move that I went for, but he goes a bit too deep, and the two of them make contact. We both, Trin and I weren't particularly impressed with the move at the time, but there's a similar story, Trin braking too late, missing the point, and once again another racing incident. But you'll hear, you know, at the time, we weren't particularly impressed with with what was happening on, but yeah, in the end, like, obviously nothing that could be done here. But then the following lap now, really not close enough for a move, but you'll see, you know, I wanted to pressure him a bit. Unfortunately, getting a little bit late on the brakes, nearly making contact there, and Stars actually goes around there. And at the time, knowing that I'd been late on the brakes, I honestly thought that I'd made contact and there was some amount of lag or something. But we confirmed after the race that Stars clipped the inside barrier there and spun the car around, which triggered the safety car. But now coming onto the restart, I wasn't really too concerned about getting a good restart. I was happy to just, you know, get a good hold a good position and not really worry about spinning or anything out of the final corner. So you'll see Faber gets a really good restart, gets a second and a half away from us at the very start, and really not, you know, I'm just here focusing on staying in front of Combat and Nut behind. So I wasn't too worried about those restarts. Like, they weren't great for the entire race, but my main focus for this race at this point was just the championship. I didn't want to risk spinning out or crashing or having to replace my wing again or anything through just a mistake of trying to get or getting on the throttle too early on a restart or anything. So was really just focusing on that for this entire race. But, you know, potentially could have gotten a bit better restarts than what I was getting, but, you know, it wasn't really too much of a concern for me at this stage, especially with so long in the race to go. To me, it didn't make sense to try and risk too much wheel spin or something off a restart and crashing into the barrier. Skipping on now to lap 17, and coming through the Novel chicane now, we just cut the corner there, and it's a 3-second penalty, and at the time I didn't realise it, but in avoiding the incident that Stars had on lap 12, I got 2 warnings there. Thankfully, after the race, those 2 warnings were removed by the stewards as I was avoiding an incident. But at the time, I had no idea whether that was the case or not. I thought the game had just bugged out, and I'd just gotten a 3-second penalty from 1 warning. But anyway, another safety car. I believe Smitty DNF'd, and you'll see there, just trying to hit the tyres up, I just made a stupid mistake and hit the wall. I basically did a Grosjean. So not ideal, not big brain, but coming onto the restart now. Once again, not too worried about getting a great restart. We let Faber get the gap here. You know, once again, could have maybe taken a bit more of a risk there, but once again, thinking about, you know, not wanting to bin it into the wall there. Traction's not particularly easy out of that corner on this game, so yeah, another bad restart, but really focusing on holding the position rather than trying to get back Faber on the restart or anything. Especially at this point too, not knowing those penalties would be removed. I didn't really think I'd have the pace to pull away from Faber for that 3-second gap if I did even get past him, so I was at this point really just happy with consolidating second position and not risking losing out on points through a DNF or something. So that was my main focus at this point. But you'll see, we're really trying to push now though to try and pull this gap out to Combat, because at the time obviously I did have that 3-second penalty hanging over my head, so I was trying to pull the gap out as much as possible. You can see we've almost got it outside of 1 second already, coming into the end of lap 22. And coming into the third sector, we do actually manage to pull that gap out to 1 second. So the pace is definitely there. Just, you know, a few errors and stuff that maybe shouldn't have happened or whatever. But now skipping on to lap 24, you'll see the gap is now 1.9 seconds, so nearly pulling out that 3-second gap, and we have another safety car closing all those gaps up once again. So a little bit frustrating for me, I will admit. So now another restart once again, definitely letting Faber have the gap rather easily there. But like I said, focusing on holding on to second position here, and not throwing away a really good points position. Hitting the wall there again. I had another frame drop at the time. I was getting quite a lot of them through turn 1 throughout the race, which, you know, I wasn't particularly enjoying, but
have no grip through that corner?
yeah, I think I got a little bit more damage there in that, and
but I was still
made it a bit more difficult to pull out the gap. You can see the gap is still under half a second at the moment to combat, and especially now, lap 27 of 39. Been on these mediums for a little while now, so potentially getting a little bit of wear, and really the hards are potentially starting to become the preferred tyre at this point in the race, so a bit concerned. But you'll see now, lap 31, we've pulled that gap out to 4 seconds, so safe even if that penalty wasn't to be removed. As you see, another car retires, and another safety car.
Sake, I've literally just gotten out of the gap, man.
And you can hear I wasn't impressed, because that 4 second gap, I just managed to pull it out again, and all the gaps were closing up again with a few laps to go. So now, once again, another restart. This one, I didn't let Faber really get away from me as much. He gets a little bit of wheel spin as well, but now we really have to make sure we pull this gap out. So already now about 6/10 here, so definitely got the pace once more, but with only 5 laps to go, it's going to be a real struggle for us to pull out that 3 second gap to make sure that we keep this second place. So really a lot of pressure on me now to try and pull away and consolidate this position, and you'll see that pressure to pull that gap out really caused a few extra mistakes on my part, as Faber makes a mistake there. Managed to catch up to him through there because of that. But just checking in for penalties on Combat, and I can confirm that throughout this entire race, Combat had 0 penalties, so definitely have to pull out that 3 second gap now. But unfortunately, it wasn't that easy. Combat really had some good pace at the end of this race, and you'll see we make a mistake there and cause ourselves some even more damage, this time on the right hand side, so it'll make it even more difficult now to pull away and open that gap out. So now skipping on to lap 37, and once again even more damage, now an orange wing on the right hand side, so really bad damage now, and the gap is still only 4/10, so really struggling. And now lap 38, we have a red front right wing now, so with a lap to go, we have to try and hold off the 2 cars behind to at least guarantee a podium position. I believe Nut behind Combat did have a 3 second penalty, so that in itself was going to be fine, but we had to consolidate this podium position. So we're going to stay on board for this entire lap now, because the defensive moves that I had to try and put in were absolutely insane. Through turn 1 we are so slow. You can see Combat right up behind us, 2.5 tenths. We have absolutely no pace here through the casino section. I believe as we look behind now, Combat is right behind us there. We cover off the inside into this hairpin here. Really not letting any opportunity there. I believe Nut tries to go up our inside here at the hairpin, but really not an overtaking opportunity on this game. The cars are just too wide, and just holding on to this position as best we can. We managed to pull open about a half-second gap, thankfully, through those 2 corners, which means we're not really too badly under threat here into the Novell chicane, but as you see, we lock up there, really compromising our run through the entire chicane here. And Nut is now right behind us through this entire 3rd sector now. We have to absolutely cover off everything as he tries to go up the inside there. That's like really not a good place to go for it, even without damage from anyone. We have to cover off into the final 2 corners here. Just trying to stay just in front, and thankfully through the final corner, you hear I'm so happy I just managed to hold them off.
Fucking lap, holy fucking shit!
And you'll see I'm pretty hyped with that.
At least I might get that position back from my pens.
Yeah, so at that point, by the end of the race too, I had figured out where I'd gotten those 2 warnings. So I was happy that I'd managed to hold on to 3rd place, knowing that I had the potential for 2nd place, and thankfully managed to hold on to it and extend my championship, or retake the championship lead. So I believe after this race, the championship lead was out to 16 points. Stars not managing to score points in that race. I believe he had a bunch of penalties, time penalties and stuff from corner cutting that really put him back down the field a little bit. So really unfortunate race for him, especially after the incredible start that he had on lap 1, gaining 4 positions off the start. So, bit unfortunate, but, you know, just adds to another chapter in the championship. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you want to see me racing live, go follow me on Twitch. And if you got this far in the video, hopefully you enjoyed it enough to subscribe and maybe even like the video. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and hopefully the next video should be out relatively soon for Baku. That race has already been finished, so stay tuned for that. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you around next time.